Hi friends, welcome back. Welcome back. I am so glad to be back here. This is sort of like a part 2 from yesterday. So if you have not seen yesterday's video, I will put a link to that below. If you are new here, my name is Julie. I am a homeschooling mom to 8 children, and this month I am doing a video series on homeschooling. So back over on Instagram, they are doing a homeschooling challenge. It's by Intentional Homeschooling is the account, and she's doing a different prompt every day, Monday through Friday, for the month of May, and I just thought it would be really fun to make a video for each of these topics. So today we're going to be talking about methods, homeschooling method, and what we do currently. So yesterday's video I talked about my background as a person who started in public school but then was homeschooled. I talked a little bit about that. So today, let me tell you where we are now. So I have been vlogging and sharing our life here on YouTube for 3 or 4 years. And you will see, if you go look back through my videos, you will see a lot of ups and downs just in the past 3 or 4 years. And it has been even longer than that I have been figuring out what works best for us when it comes to homeschooling. My oldest is 13, so we've had a lot of years to experiment and try to figure out what works best for us. If you look also at yesterday's video and you read through the comments below, you will really be blessed. It is so cool seeing the different stories that you shared with me about how you came to start homeschooling and what it looks like for you a little bit today. And one thing that I see a lot from a lot of you is that it took some trial and error to get to where you are now in homeschooling. And then there were quite a few of you who were at the very beginning of your homeschool journey and excited and looking ahead. And just know that you also will have a lot of trial and error to kind of settle into what works best for your family. And then it will keep changing because your kids keep getting older and changing, and your life circumstances may change, and we're people who grow. We don't stay the same. And so it's usually not the case that one thing works for every child in your family all the years that you homeschool them. Typically you have to change things up, and that is part of the beauty of homeschooling, is that you have the freedom to do that. So I used to follow a more structured school day. I have a video actually on how I used managers of their homes to literally structure out our days by half-hour time slots. And for that season of life, setting up some type of schedule was what I needed. We never followed it perfectly to a T, but that is not the idea of the book anyway. It's to really give you a guideline of an ideal day so that you can follow that to the best of your ability and then thrive in that. And for those years I did. But in the past, I guess it's been about 3 years ago that we bought this property that we live on now. We used to live in the city with just a little backyard. We now live on an almost 16-acre property. It's beautiful. We have hills and trees and a creek and animals. And our life has really changed a lot. We actually live in a small house. It's only 575 square feet. So we spend a lot of time outside. And our homeschooling is very different than it used to be. I currently do not follow a time schedule at all. And a lot of that is that I have slowly made the switch to a delight-directed approach to learning. As my kids have gotten older, and I have seen the fruit that comes from allowing kids to pursue the things that they are passionate about, it has given me the confidence to be able to just trust that learning will happen, and I don't have to manufacture it myself. I don't have to work so hard to make sure my kids are learning everything and lay it out before them and have the stacks of books that we go through every day. It just doesn't require that much effort because kids are natural learners. They are sponges. They want to soak things up. They want to learn something new. You can see that in your baby who's trying to figure out how to stand or learn to walk. They have a drive in them that will continue to come out as long as you foster that and allow it to happen. One thing that I do specifically is I set up very strict boundaries around screen time, because if kids are given unlimited access to technology, it can quickly stifle this, what I'm trying to do, which is to encourage them to discover the skills and the abilities and the gifts that God put in them. But if they are sitting and playing computer games for hours, quite frankly, it's just probably not going to happen the same way. And so one of the prompts does talk about technology, so we will be getting into that in a couple weeks, where I will go more specifically into how we handle that. But for now, I just will say that we do put limits on it. I also have a couple subjects that I require my children to do. They have to do a lesson of math each day. Our school days, typically we do 4 days a week of the structured subjects. So they do a lesson of math. We use teaching textbooks. And again, all of these things I will be exploring next week in those further prompts. If you look below in the description box, you will see the list of everything we're going to talk about. So they have to do math. We do something with writing. So it could even just be 15 minutes of working on, fix-it grammar on that program. It could be very simple. It could be doing some copy work. I have some children who like to just do copy work. Just a small bit each day. We were part of community Bible study, which we would do a workbook and then meet with that group on Fridays. But of course, because of the coronavirus, our classes were all canceled. So we were just sent home with the rest of our workbooks, and we will not be meeting again until things resume, hopefully back to normal in the fall. So we do still have those books that we, maybe a couple days a week, we'll do a page in that to keep up with that. I want to make sure they complete that book. But other than that, those are the only individual subjects that I require daily of my children. Then what I like to do is one group subject per day. So today we did history. We do history once a week, and I will go into that further, but we will really just kind of soak in that subject. I used to try to do quite a few subjects in one day, and it felt really good from a box checking standpoint. We did some history, we did some geography, we did English, we did math. I just felt so productive as a homeschooling mom. But what I noticed is that my children were not diving deep into the subjects. They were staying surface level. They were trying to get it done as quickly as possible so that they could get on to the next thing. And the retention was not there. When I finally had the courage to slow down and do less, I noticed more academic growth in my children. So now we pick one family subject a day that we will do. So that could be our history. It could be something with geography, or it could be a nature study thing in our little nature journals, all of these things, which I will tell you more about. But we just do one of those a day. The other thing we do is lots of reading aloud. Like I said in my last video, read alouds is something that I've done with my children since they were toddlers. And we continue as a family. I actually read even aloud to Jason and all the kids. After dinner, we have one book that we go through together, and then I'll have another book that I'm going through with the kids in the afternoon. That is a big part of our day. As far as my children with the Delight Directed, past that point, I give them time. I just give them hours to do whatever interests them. You don't have to have greater knowledge than your kids to homeschool them. They will explore and just take off on their own. Science, for example, is not a subject that I worry about at all with my children because they're so naturally curious that they have explored so many scientific topics, so many of the different branches of science completely on their own. But if we had sat down and I said, all right, we are going to learn today about the life cycle of a frog. We're going to learn all in detail about frogs, and we're going to sit here and we're going to do a worksheet about frogs. Then we're going to take a test on frogs, and then I want you to draw the diagram and I want you to write me a paragraph on frogs. It would probably be seen as drudgery by my kids. They didn't care about frogs at that point in their life, and it would just be me forcing them to learn about this. They would do it just to satisfy me, and then that was it. They would move on. But in real life, last year, we found tadpoles out in one of our water areas here, and on their own, my kids just dove into this topic. They researched it, they observed it. I had one drawing pictures of what was happening. They raised them. They watched the whole life cycle, and they knew more about it than I did because they were excited about it. When that time was done, they lost interest in it and moved on to something else, but they retained what they learned. And if you ask them about it today, they will know because they cared. It was their desire to learn it. And that, I think, is the beauty behind the delight-directed learning, is they care. And when we care about something, we're really going to learn it well. Come up here and say hi.
Hi.
I have visitors. Okay, so lastly, I have to tell you our times. So we follow a year-round school. We do not take a long summer break. We do not schedule our days and our hours. We are lifelong learners, and learning is a way of life for us. So we will have times where we will take a week or a couple weeks off from doing the math and the grammar, those required subjects. But other than that, the way we learn means that we get to learn 365 days a year. So because of that, it really removes the stress for a mom, because you don't think, oh no, I need to fit all of this in these 9 months that I've set aside. And if we have a week that we just don't feel like it, and then we have to make a week up later on, there is none of that stress when you think that education is a way of life. And you get to just enjoy your kids and enjoy the seasons. It has taken me quite a few years to come to the point where I had the courage to just surrender my plans and allow just the natural process of education to happen. But it is such a wonderful place when you get here. It is a place of freedom, and it is a place of great fruit. And it is really exciting watching my children become young adults and seeing what's in store for them and what comes next. So that's all I'll say about that today. Tomorrow, what is the topic tomorrow? I think it's your homeschool space. So I will take you on a little tour of where we learn when we're doing our table work, of our home, our outdoor spaces. We'll just talk about that and just walk around and look at it all tomorrow, right? I am so excited to see what comes of this month of sharing with you. It is really a blessing for me to take the time to sit down and do these videos, because then I'm kind of analyzing what we do, which is a good thing. So continue to chat with me in the comments. If you have any other questions, be sure to put them below and I will answer them promptly, because my mind is just on these videos these days. So that's what we're doing. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you all tomorrow.